Hello, my leaders. Welcome. This is December 11th, and this week we are talking all about how the angels came and visited Mary and Joseph and Zachariah and Elizabeth, and how anything is possible with God. That's our big line today, our big bottom line today. And so this week, as we do that, with everything, anything is possible with God, we're also going to be talking about salvation, okay? So we're going to hand out some salvation cards and whatnot, so be prepared for that and to be able to go through salvation with your kids if they don't quite get it by the end of large group. And so we'll go through it in large group and everything, but then follow up in small groups and see if they really understand all of that. And then you'll be able to see which one of your students maybe has decided for that day to follow Christ, or is almost ready or ready to be baptized, anything like that. And so let's go ahead and dive into that as well. Remember too that we have tacos this week as well. And so we'll definitely have them in between services. We should have them before services, but before the first service, but I'm not 100% sure on that. We will definitely have them in between the two services though. And so come hungry and ready to eat as a way to bless you guys for all that you guys do. Okay, this week, we're starting off with just a world records activity page, okay? This was just a welcome opener, getting some warm up and stuff and getting the conversations going. But basically, during these world records, you'll just go through them and be like, okay, what are some amazing, impossible sounding things that we can do, or that people have done before, right? And so it's kind of to get at the impossible in their minds wrapped around, right? And so all of that to say nothing is impossible for God, right? God can do anything. And so this next activity page you're going to do, or this next activity, you're going to have a Christmas tic-tac-toe activity pages. And basically what you're doing is you're having little candy canes and snowmen. And so you'll divide up your team into two different groups, candy canes or snowmen. And if you want to bring a water bottle, you can bring a couple of half-empty water bottles for this. If you want to do the water bottle flip for this instead of the beanbag. But basically what you're going to do is each team will have a beanbag with a rubber band and you can put like a little paper clip on it, or maybe make a target or something if you want to hit a target instead in the room. But basically what they're doing is they're holding it by the rubber band and flipping it, and when it lands with the or with the paper clip on top, then that counts as okay, your team can go place one of the tic-tac-toe pieces. So if I'm on team candy cane, right, I'll go place one of the candy canes on the grid that you're going to make on the floor with just regular tape. Then, you know, both teams are going at the same time. Whoever actually wins the tic-tac-toe part wins for that round. And so play that as much as you want until large group starts. But that's how that works, is like the paper clip's on top. Whenever it's flipped like that, then it has to be on top, completely flat, to be able to count. And then they can go run and put their piece on there. Again, alternatively, if you want to do the bottle flipping instead, then just bring a couple of half-empty water bottles and you can flip those instead. Okay, and then this next, after the video, after we go through the story and whatnot and go through the large group and the salvation and all of that, as soon as you come back, make sure we're working on those rosters that you guys have as well. So those rosters, go ahead and fill out your little column on there as soon as you get back from large group, and that way you have like basically all of your students there. You're able to do it really quick. That'll really help us as we walk around and do attendance. We can just pull out that list and have it there for you guys. Also, with that, if you notice a student is missing for a while, you're like, oh, I haven't seen Johnny for, you know, a couple of weeks. When was the last time he was here, right? You can actually go back to that roster and look, and then there's also the parent phone number if you want to reach out and just be like, hey, just thinking about Johnny, haven't seen him for a while. You guys need prayer for anything, something like that. You know, that would be awesome if you guys would do that. And that's really the ministry that we're trying to incorporate, is just being there for these students when they need us, right? And so if we notice a student has been missing for a while, definitely check up on them and just quick text to the parent like, hey, just checking in, how you guys doing? You know, that kind of thing. That would be awesome. But then for the salvation cards, definitely go through those with your students as well, and just see where they are. And so they only have to check one out of the three boxes that are in each category. One's baptism, one's salvation. And so it's a super simple process for them, but just see where they are with their salvation and if they're ready to really accept Christ and continue that conversation if they are in small groups. Then you have a craft that you can do, and you have some discussion questions that go along with the craft as well, okay? And this craft basically will look like this when it's done. It is a little baby Jesus in the manger, and it says Emmanuel, God with us at the top, okay? And so this will be, you know, you'll have this kind of cut out for you, and then you already have all these pieces. They just need to assemble it all together and glue it, is basically what you're looking for, okay? And so And the instructions are on there as well, but definitely go through the questions that are on the sheet as you're doing that to kind of expand what happened in the story, right? And then you're after Bible 2, basically what you're doing is you're talking about, you're having a game of charades of what happened in the story, okay? So it's another recap of what just happened. And so assign different people for your group. And so you'll have someone that's angel, have someone that's, a Christmas tree, have someone that is, Zachariah, unable to speak and that kind of stuff. And then there's a couple of other suggestions on there for you. But basically go back through the story interactively if you have time to really get that solidified in their minds. And then you have some discussion questions, of course, that go along with that as well. Next, you have some boxes. Now, these boxes, you may not have 10 of them, but you do have at least enough to separate into groups and at least have like 2 about per group, maybe 2 or 3 per group. So you'll split up your group into like 2, maybe 3 different teams, and you'll have about 2 for those groups. Basically, what they're doing is they're assembling this box and wrapping it and then putting a sticker on it that is the memory verse and or the bottom line in. When they do all of that, it's like who did it the best and the most quickly, okay? The key is the partners are only allowed to use one hand. And so as they only use one hand, they have to work together to do it. And so like, the left hand is behind their back. They're only able to use their right hand, but then their partner is also in their same group. They're able to work together to do it. And these boxes, they just basically fold together. And so as you fold them together, you'll see how they like fold and like put it all together to where it actually makes the box part of it. And then the same thing on top, these just fold down into like a little bitty box, and then you'll wrap it with some wrapping paper and tape and all of that fun stuff, okay? And then this prayer activity, you'll have some M&Ms with this prayer activity, okay? Now with this, basically what they're doing is they're reaching inside of their little bags and pulling out one of the M&Ms. If it's a red M&M, tell them to pray about something for their partner or like someone right next to them, right? So it could be like, if you have one big group that you're all doing prayer in, then they'd pray to the person on the right. If it is a green M&M, tell them to pray about something that's going on in their own lives, okay? And then as they do that, go ahead and do it a couple of times. So maybe everyone kind of gets prayed for in some form or fashion, and then have a lot of fun with that. And that'll be it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for all that you guys do. Also, next week, I will not be here, so you will have Miss Jamie be running the show up here, and so definitely ask her any questions that you guys have, but just heads up, I will not be here next week. I will be out, but she will be here in my absence. And that's it for you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys soon.